Welcome to the shooting show. This week Byron's back in Africa in pursuit of blesbuck, plus we review the Remington 700 VTR. Back in the Winterberg mountains, Byron joins friends and professional hunters Swears and Edan on the final leg of his African trip. Having already tackled hippo, crocodile, bush pig and mountain reedbuck, this time they've their sights set on kudu and blesbuck. Travelling from the sparse mountain tops to the more vegetated valley sides, they spy the ground for telltale signs.
You see it now. See it running?
Soon they locate a shootable kudu bull, but it's mostly obscured by a bush and there is no safe shot on.
It's a shame there's so many trees in the way because it would be a nice shot from here.
Getting the camera and rifle in position proves difficult given the dense bush, and as the bull steps out in broad view, the opportunity is missed. Undeterred, the hunters press on, and it's not long before the same bull shows himself again. But once again, luck deserts them. 300 yards away, with just a frontal shot available, they can only just look on. A new day dawns. Byron and Swears make their way to the mountain tops for a good view of the terrain. Some mountain reedbuck show themselves far below, but there's still no sign of kudu.
Where are they, Swiss?
I'm trying to find them myself.
Okay.
Like a cow.
A native duiker and a herd of feral goats are the only creatures they come across. With another weather front looming over the neighbouring mountain, they head back down disappointed. Everything rests on the final day of hunting. Today, the quarry is blesbuck. Things are off to a good start. They have a target in mind. Edan and Swears know the herd well, and a big old ram has been kicked out of the group. All they have to do is find it. It takes a protracted period of walking and spying, but finally they locate the ram.
You see that ram coming through from the right?
Yep.
That's the ram we're looking for.
Okay.
It's a very nice ram.
It's time to put the plan into action. Byron and Edan slowly crawl out of sight.
Byron, the wind has changed, so I think the best thing we can do is if we go around that way and stalk it from there, because I don't want these animals to smell us.
Okay. Is it still that ram that's there on the left?
The last part of the stalk is slow and cautious. They can see the blesbuck through the sparse wooded area. Any unnecessary movement might spook it.
So, how do you think we should go about this?
I think we should go around there and work our way back, because the wind is coming like this.
Okay.
It's a real struggle to find a suitable shooting location, but finally Byron steadies the rifle with Edan watching on.
Reload, let's just check when it goes down.
It's a clean shot. The ram runs, but it's dead on its feet. It falls just out of camera shot.
Well done.
Thanks, Stefan.
Pleasure.
Stefan, I've hunted a few blesbuck before, but it's always been with clients, and this is the first one I've had a chance to shoot myself in these absolutely amazing surroundings, and this is a very, very nice animal.
Indeed, Byron, this is really a nice animal. This is the type of animal we want to shoot. It's a very old male, pushed out, and it's towards the end of his life. So I think you did a great job in taking this buck.
Now, let's get this in the back of the bucky and get back for some food.
100%.
For me, hunting in South Africa doesn't get any better than this. This is wild terrain, unfenced. The animals that are here are what would have always been here historically. You've got kudu, mountain reedbuck, bushbuck, bush pig, a few warthogs starting to make their way up the valleys now. It really is just wonderful terrain up here. It's proper wild hunting, just the way it should be. You can't really beat it.
It's taken 3 days, but Byron has finally been able to end his African adventure on a high. You can bet the shooting show will soon be back in Africa.
Byron there, showing us once again how it's done on the dark continent. And now, the shooting show news.
This is the shooting show news. The Scottish Government has moved ahead with proposals to licence airguns, just a week after dramatic drops in airgun crime were revealed. Holyrood has announced a consultation on introducing a licensing system running until the 15th of March. This despite recent figures showing airgun crime has fallen for 5 successive years in Scotland, for a total of 71% decrease. BASC has urged its members to respond to the consultation and make their views known. World sporting champion Stewart Clarke is the latest top shooter to join the Zolly Pro team, joining the likes of Becky Breen and Jason Alloway. Clarke previously shot only with semi-autos, owing to a shoulder injury, but he said the recoil on Zolly guns was so light that he was able to switch to an over and under. We caught up with Paolo Zolly this week to ask him about Zolly's plans for its guns and why you should buy one. Look out for the full interview in The Shooting Show and Clay Shooting magazine. Ely Hawk is reporting a good response to its new ranges of cartridges with non-lead shot. 3 new steel shot loads are now available, all under Ely's top-end VIP mark: Steel Game, Steel High Performance and Steel Lightning. The last of those 3 is, according to Ely Hawk, the fastest load ever seen in the UK. Check out the entire range at Ely's new website, elyhawklimited.com. BASC has condemned the illegal shooting of a hen harrier in northern England. The organisation urged anyone who may have information to come forward. Director of Communications Christopher Graffius said, anyone shooting a protected species damages shooting and the countryside and has no place among the law-abiding shooting community. Just weeks ago, a new report said bird poisoning had fallen for the 3rd year running in Scotland. More in the next issue of Modern Gamekeeping. And finally, could the badger cull go ahead after all? Despite the scepticism of many, the government this week announced that the delayed cull would not be abandoned completely, and that it would go ahead in 2 pilot areas as planned in 2013. The cost of bovine tuberculosis, if left uncontrolled, is estimated at £90 million a year and counting. More in the next issue of Sporting Rifle, out next week. That was the Shooting Show news.
On test this week, a classic rifle from a classic name. It's a Remington 700.
Today we're going to have a look at one of the latest offerings from Remington. This is a Remington Model 700, but it's the VTR model, which stands for Varmint Tactical Rifle. The 700 action is known by hunters the world over. It is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, rifle model of all time. It is what a lot of people turn to when they want a semi-custom job. They go and get a Remington action and build their semi-custom rifle off the back of that. And there is a host of aftermarket accessories in response to the popularity of the Remington 700. What makes this particular rifle interesting and worth talking about over other Remingtons, as they're all very much the same, is that the VTR has a triangular barrel, which gives it a very futuristic look. Now Remington say that for the same type of varmint barrel in standard profile, the triangular barrel gives a greater surface area and so cools down quicker. The other thing that they say, and was part of the development when designing this, is that this particular shape makes the barrel more rigid, and so the oscillations during firing are smaller and the rifle is accurate over longer strings of shooting. One of the other things that you will note with this, which you don't see in a lot of rifles these days, is a built-in muzzle brake. This is actually a 22-inch barrel, but 2 inches of that is muzzle brake. The downside with this is that you can't put a moderator on it, and that will put a lot of people off. The vast majority of people these days shoot with moderators. I would say that you certainly don't get the same reduction in felt recoil from this muzzle brake as you would do with a moderator. However, it does virtually eliminate the muzzle flip. So from that point of view, it works very well. If we turn our attention to the stock, there's not too much that's special about it. It's a relatively cheap stock, it's an injection mould, but it does have rubberized inserts where you would find checkering on a wooden rifle. And I like this move that a lot of manufacturers have made, even with their cheaper synthetic stocks. It feels very nice in the hand, and it does help you grip the rifle when you're out shooting in the field. The bottom metal is the same as you would find on any Remington Model 700. There's nothing too special here. The floor plate drops with a button on the inside of the trigger guard. Allows you to drop rounds out. This model doesn't come with a magazine. From my point of view, I'm not too fussed about that. I think a magazine is just another thing to leave at home. So when it comes to full bore rifles, I'd much rather have a floor plate anyway. One thing that is really nice about the newer Model 700s, and I include this model in it, is that the trigger units have been upgraded. It has been a great bane of people's lives who have owned Remingtons over the years that the triggers have just been terrible. And the vast majority of people who own one have upgraded their triggers with aftermarket options. The new trigger unit they have here, which is actually adjustable with a little screw inside, is vastly superior to the old Remington triggers. If I make sure I haven't got a round in here, just load this and dry fire it. There's virtually no creep to speak of. The brake is nice and crisp. I haven't actually lightened this down from the factory setting, but it does come down another pound, I think, from where it's been set. You're able to see here the recoil lug. It is a washer type design, which is jammed between the barrel and the action when the barrel is screwed in. It's not a design that I have to say I'm in love with. I much prefer an integral lug, which is built in as part of the receiver. I've said that before. That is a design which is generally accepted as the strongest, and it is certainly my personal preference. However, Remington have done this for a very long time. There are a lot of really great, accurate rifles made with this design. So from that point of view, you can't really complain about it too much. There's one thing I have to say about this, is unlike other cheap synthetic injection molded stocks, which have a bit of flex in them, this doesn't seem to at all. I've seen some stocks where the fore end is quite flexible. If you sit it on a bipod, while you're trying to adjust yourself, the stock is touching one side of the barrel, then the next, and that can seriously affect accuracy. That's not a problem with this. What is interesting to note though, is that there's a pressure band at the very end. The barrel is free floating from the recoil lug forward, but then sits on this pressure band before it exits the stock. Now, according to the Remington literature, as you would expect, this has been done to improve accuracy. I've never been a fan of pressure bands, but in some cases they are needed to make a rifle shoot accurately.
Inspection over, it's time for the range test, and Byron invites his buddy Edan to help do the honours. A few groups later, the Remy is posting impressive results on paper.
Well, that's us finally wrapped up at the range. We fired a couple of boxes through the rifle, and I've been quite impressed with how it shoots. I've had a few really nice tight groups, and I've enjoyed shooting it as well. The only thing that I didn't really like was the fact that you can't put a moderator on it. So you do get a little bit of muzzle blast, but yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised by the triangular barreled rifle. Edan, how have you found it?
I think it's quite good, yeah. I got the same sort of tight groups. Nice and compact for the car, for if you're going out lamping or so. Yeah, it comes up to the cheek quite nice, and yeah, I'll agree with the moderator. You can't really personalise it to your own needs, but yeah, I still quite like it.
And what about its looks? They're a bit futuristic.
A bit futuristic, but I think it's quite smart, to be honest. I quite like it. And well, it's something different, isn't it? Something different.
That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. We're out every Monday, 7:30 PM UK time. This is The Shooting Show.